Welcome to Farming Aid.
America's beef story is changing, and one surprising star is stepping into the spotlight. Beefalo, the hybrid of beef cattle and American bison, is gaining attention with ranchers, chefs, and consumers who want flavorful steak, leaner meat, and animals that thrive on grass. In this video, we explore why beefalo are rising fast in the United States, how they combine the hardiness of bison with the predictability of cattle, and why many people are calling them America's next top steak. If you are interested in grass-fed beef, sustainable ranching, climate-smart livestock, or simply want to know where the best steak of the future might come from, you are in the right place. Stay with me as we break down what beefalo are, why they are growing in popularity, and what makes their steak different from both beef and bison. This is America's Next Top Steak. The surprising rise of beefalo, and by the end you may look at your next steak a little differently. Beefalo are not a random cross that happened by accident. They are a planned and stabilized hybrid between domestic cattle and American bison, usually targeted around a genetic composition of about 3/8 bison and 5/8 cattle. That proportion was selected through years of breeding because it tends to balance the best traits of both parents while avoiding the fertility problems that show up in some early cross attempts. From bison, beefalo carry hardiness, strong foraging instincts, disease resistance, and the ability to stay productive on rougher feed. From cattle, they bring calmer temperaments in most lines, easier handling compared to pure bison, reliable carcass traits, and a more familiar beef flavor profile for consumers. This deliberate mix is what separates true beefalo from simple first-generation cross animals, and it is what allows them to be registered, tracked, and improved as a type rather than just a curiosity. One reason people keep talking about beefalo is climate stress. Across large parts of the United States, especially the plains and the West, rising temperatures and more frequent drought cycles are changing how ranchers think about stocking rates and survivability. Bison evolved here over thousands of years and were shaped by these very conditions. They do not panic when forage quality drops. They know how to use marginal land and walk farther to graze. They grow dense winter coats and handle cold without massive energy losses. When those survival traits are carried into beefalo, you end up with animals that can maintain body condition where some traditional British breeds start to struggle unless you pour feed behind them. That matters because supplemental feed is one of the biggest cost drivers in beef production. Any animal that stays productive while eating less high-priced inputs immediately stands out in spreadsheets. For producers trying to make grazing systems work instead of feedlot-heavy approaches, beefalo fit the direction of travel. Their bison side pushes them to move, graze, and utilize forage more evenly across a pasture. They tend not to stand around water troughs as much in heat. They are built to cover ground and convert cellulose efficiently. Grass-based operations and regenerative ranching circles value animals that do not fall apart when grass is the main ration. Cattle genetics have given beefalo more frame and muscling than pure bison and kept growth on a schedule that suits market demands, but without losing the ability to thrive on forage. That combination of performance on grass plus acceptable finishing quality is one of the key reasons some ranchers quietly shift a portion of their herd toward beefalo, sometimes starting with cross calves and moving toward higher percentage animals over time. Carcass quality is where many consumers meet beefalo for the first time, usually at a farmer's market or specialty butcher counter. The meat tends to be leaner than conventional beef, with lower external fat and lower intramuscular fat while still keeping tenderness if handled and cooked correctly. The flavor often gets described as beef forward with a slightly sweeter or cleaner finish rather than gamey, which surprises people who expect pure bison taste. For diners focused on health, lower cholesterol and fat content are often selling points, although producers still emphasize that it is real red meat, not a diet product. Restaurants that want to tell a story about American heritage, prairie landscapes, and sustainable sourcing like using Beefalo because the narrative is strong and the eating quality backs it up. If America's next top steak means something that can satisfy steakhouse expectations while aligning with modern health and environmental values, Beefalo certainly sits in that conversation. Handling and temperament always matter in real-world operations, not just in marketing. Pure bison require specialized fencing, heavy equipment, and experienced stockmanship because they are powerful, reactive animals with a strong flight response. Beefalo, depending on line and management, are usually much more workable, showing calmer cattle influence while retaining alertness from their bison side. Ranchers still respect them, but they are not the same as managing full bison herds. This improved manageability opens the door for more operations to experiment with the hybrid without changing their entire infrastructure. Calving ease is another plus often reported, along with strong mothering instincts and vigorous calves that stand and nurse quickly. Those traits reduce labor and losses, both of which are bottom-line issues. When you can combine easier calving, fewer health interventions, and animals that tolerate weather extremes, you get a system that saves time and money. The story of Beefalo also connects to American history in an emotional way. Bison are a symbol of the continent, of prairies that once held millions of hooves, and of resilience after near extinction. Blending bison genetics into the modern beef industry is not just about production economics. It is also about cultural return and land connection. Many ranchers like raising an animal that feels rooted in North America rather than imported centuries ago. Consumers pick up on that feeling when they see Beefalo on a menu or package. It feels authentic, local, and slightly adventurous without being unfamiliar. In an age where people want stories behind their food, hybrids that carry both history and practicality draw interest. Economically, the rise of Beefalo is tied to niche markets that are slowly becoming less niche. Direct-to-consumer sales, subscription meat boxes, farmers markets, and regional natural food stores create pathways where unique products command premiums. Beefalo producers often bypass commodity channels and build their own brand. Because the animals finish well on grass or light grain rations, finishing costs can be controlled while still delivering quality meat. Some USDA-recognized programs allow Beefalo to be verified and labeled correctly, which protects both producers and buyers. As supply chains fragment into smaller, identity-preserved streams rather than one giant uniform river, animals like Beefalo make more sense because differentiation becomes valuable instead of inconvenient. There are still challenges, and any honest look at Beefalo has to recognize them. Genetic consistency, registration, and public understanding are ongoing work. Not every cross animal performs the same, and breeding toward stable percentages requires planning, records, and patience. Market size is still much smaller than conventional beef, so large packers do not always cater to Beefalo needs. Education is required for consumers so they cook leaner steaks correctly and do not blame the animal when they overcook and dry it out. But these challenges are exactly what you see in the early phases of many agricultural transitions. What matters is that interest keeps growing, and the animals keep proving themselves in varied climates from the upper Midwest to the Southwest. Environmental arguments also support the rise of Beefalo. Their grazing style, inherited in part from bison, tends to favor movement and pasture utilization that can help avoid overgrazing specific spots. Hoof action and herd dynamics can stimulate plant regrowth in systems managed for rotation. Their ability to maintain condition on rough forage means less dependency on cropland-based feeds, which links to lower input emissions and more resilient local systems. While full life cycle assessments are complex and not identical across operations, the direction of travel is clear. Animals that do more with less, that fit grass systems, and that integrate with rangeland health goals will likely become more important as environmental regulations and consumer awareness increase. On the culinary side, chefs enjoy working with Beefalo because it gives them talking points and menu creativity. Steaks are usually slightly leaner, so they reward attentive cooking, searing, and rest times. Ground Beefalo has a clean taste that fits tacos, burgers, and pasta sauces without leaving heavy aftertaste. Some cuts, especially from well-finished animals, can rival or beat conventional beef in tenderness tests when handled well. As word spreads from kitchens to social media and food circles, more diners become curious. Curiosity has always been a powerful driver in American food culture, and Beefalo sits right between familiar and new, which is exactly where trends often take off. From a breeding standpoint, Beefalo represent an interesting answer to a long-standing question in North American livestock production: how do you combine adaptation with production? Traditional cattle breeding has focused heavily on growth rates, marbling, and feed efficiency in controlled environments. Bison survival has focused on ecological fit and minimal human interference. The Beefalo project tries to bridge that gap. It is not simply about maximum size or maximum feedlot gain. It is about balanced performance on real landscapes under real stress. In that sense, Beefalo are part of a broader movement in agriculture that values resilience as much as raw output. Looking forward, if you imagine the phrase, "America's next top steak," it is not only a marketing slogan. It is a question about where consumer tastes and producer realities meet. Will Americans embrace slightly leaner, environmentally framed red meat? Will ranchers shift more of their herds toward hybrids that can handle climate pressure? Will regional Beefalo brands build loyalty in the same way grass-fed or Wagyu labels have done? The growth we already see suggests that the answer will not be all or nothing. Instead, Beefalo are likely to become an established segment of the marketplace, sitting alongside conventional beef, pure bison, and other specialty meats. Their rise is surprising only if you ignore the signals around cost of feed, water stress, health-focused consumers, and the desire for authentic American stories on the plate. Beefalo may have started as a quiet experiment, but today they look like a strong contender for the future of American beef. They bring together what people care about right now: great steak flavor, leaner red meat, lower input costs, and animals built for changing climates and grass-based systems. As more ranchers test Beefalo on real pastures and more chefs put Beefalo steaks on real plates, the buzz is turning into real demand. The surprising rise of Beefalo is not just marketing. It reflects a shift toward sustainable beef production, regenerative grazing, and consumers who want steak that tastes amazing and tells a real story. So when you hear the question, "America's next top steak," the answer may be closer than you think. Beefalo offer the strength of bison, the reliability of cattle, and a flavor profile that fits modern tastes. Their growth signals a new chapter in U.S. beef, where resilience and quality go hand in hand. If you want to follow where beef is headed, keep your eye on Beefalo. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed learning about the rise of Beefalo, make sure to like the video, share it with a friend, and leave your thoughts in the comments.